give the call to the member for Goldstein.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and it is such a privilege to be able to get up and speak to this motion because home ownership is central to the vision we should want for our nation. When I think about the strength and the enduring strength of our country all the way to its modern foundation, one of the key pillars that led to our foundation is the idea of the democratic ownership of our country. And it is endured in comparison to, of course, European settlement, where many people came from the United Kingdom, and, of course, they inherited a hereditary system of governance and land title and ownership based on privilege, based on your bloodline. One of the great promises of this great country was that you were not going to be a nation, and we were not going to be a nation, where you were going to have your life determined on you based on who your parents, your grandparents, all the way back through generations were. The promise of this great nation, the promise of Australia, was that we were going to be a nation where through hard work, sacrifice and effort, you could own a share of it for yourself, your family, as the foundation of your security and your future success. And that, Deputy Speaker, continues to be the promise of this great nation today. And the importance of home ownership is the greatest manifestation and reflection of it, as well as the family unit. And that's the basis that I stand for, fight for, and will continue to fight for into the future, home ownership, because it is the very embodiment of the Liberal ideal. A Liberal vision of this country is that families will come together, own a chunk of this nation as the foundation, not just of their security, but from that will become the wellspring of their future economic success, their security to be able to go on and contribute to the rest of their community, and, of course, then to become part of the pillars and the foundation of the success of our nation. And that's why home ownership matters so much. It's why it has always been one of the great cleaving points of our national political debate. On the return of the Second World War, when soldiers were coming back, the Labor Party faced a great big choice. And the choice was, how do we build the homes for returned soldiers who had sacrificed so much in defence of our country? And the solution of the Labor Party at the time was that they wanted to build homes so that returned soldiers could forever rent off the Australian government, because the socialist vision has always been one of dependence, and the socialist vision and the Labor vision has always been one where they control the people of this country. The Liberal vision, by comparison, was always one that we wanted a nation of homeowners, and we wanted to build the homes of the nation so that returned soldiers and their families and the future generations of this country would go on to own their own homes. And that was the clear choice then, and that remains the clear choice now. And that's why when the Prime Minister, amongst others, the members of this government, get up and speak the virtues of what they claim they're doing in home ownership or in housing, so often what their focus is focused explicitly on how they control the population and how they build housing so that they can control how you live your life. And that is why we do not believe in so much of what they're trying to achieve in housing policy on this side of the parliament. We don't believe that housing policy should be a mechanism to control the Australian people. We believe that housing policy should be focused on how we empower the Australian people, because at the centre of the Labor Party's agenda has always been a mechanism to control the Australian people, whether it's them wanting people to be on dependence on welfare because they can then control you, whether it's superannuation through industry super funds so the unions can control your retirement and your destiny, whether it is through the mechanisms of work so that they can control how much you're paid, when you're paid, and determine how you work. They want to control you. But more than anything else, what they want to do is create a nation of renters, particularly controlled by superannuation funds that they control, so that you'll always be dependent on housing stock that they own directly through the government or housing stock that they own through superannuation funds so they can control you. The Liberal vision is completely different. We fundamentally believe in empowering Australians. We want young Australians to be able to get a good education so they have the best chance they can then have to go on and get a good career. We want to keep their taxes low so they can then be in the best position to save and get ahead so they can form a family and go on and buy their own home. We believe in home ownership because we believe it is the foundation of their future economic success and security. And from that, one day they will be in a position to be able to do things like form a small business and be independent and empowered all the way through to their retirement. They will be in a position to be able to choose their destiny. That is the clear choice between the Labor vision of control and the Liberal vision of empowerment. And that is why it is so important we stand in this parliament, despite the protestations of the Labor government. They always want to find a new mechanism and a new lever where they can find a pathway to control the Australian people. And that's why, no matter how many people they have in this parliament, we will never surrender and we will never back down. Because at the heart of the Liberal vision is the success of the Australian people. This is one of the big dividing lines of Australian politics. When people in school groups and everywhere across this country, people say, what is the difference between the political parties these days? And they are manifest. But more than anything else, the Australian Labor Party celebrates the success of this country through their success. The Liberal Party celebrates the success of Australia through the success of the Australian people. And that is the difference, because our success is lived through 26 million people every day waking up and living out the success in their own lives. We do not want to decide your future. We do not want to decide your destiny. We want you to have choices and be able to make a choice about how you live your life, to be fully empowered to make a choice about your family and your future. That is the key difference. And when you are going about, Australians are going about living your best lives how you see fit, you are living and breathing every single day the full manifestation of the Liberal vision of this country. That is why the housing debate is so important, because it's the catalysing moment in so many Australians' lives about how people can have prosperity, security and, of course, the opportunity of living out their best Liberal life for Australia. So, Deputy Speaker, this is an important debate because we absolutely want home ownership to be central to the foundations of this country. We don't want the Labor vision of control for this country. We don't want young Australians living a life of dependence and thinking one day the only chance they have to get ahead is either based on their bloodline or to be able to get ahead based on their proximity to power. And that is a central part of the control mechanism that the Labor Party has always wanted. They love a system where it's proximity to power and whether you pay your tithe to the union, and, of course, whether the union is then able to be in a position to tax their take along the way. Because when they do that, they set up a cartel arrangement where they're able to get the maximum benefit for themselves and those closest to positions of proximity and power. And we utterly reject that proposition, Deputy Speaker, because it is not a system that is focused on empowering the Australian people. It has only one vision then when you achieve that, Deputy Speaker. That vision, the Labor vision, is to feed those people closest to positions of central power and to make them at the first in the line at the trough. That is the problem with the Labor vision for this country. It is about themselves and their own success at the expense of the Australian people. And the only objective of the Labor vision is how do they fill the trough up for themselves as fast as possible, and to sacrifice the future and the opportunity of the Australian people along the way. And they don't care whether you own your own home in the process, because your house is their weapon and their political weapon for their ends. So we will stand here and we will fight every step of the way for the Australian people, to empower the Australian people, whatever it takes. Because so long as there is breath in my body, the vision and the dream of home ownership for Australia must be fought for, because it goes to the heart of who we are. It goes to the heart of our vision for the country. It goes to the heart of what we want and for the future and the ambition of what we want for this great nation. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.